Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Yolanda Hamilton. I am currently hosting the A Woman's Touch by Tribal Innovations. This is our Tribal Connections portion of Tribal Innovations. And we have today our round table talk with some phenomenal women, four phenomenal women that are in the industry of theater, dance, music, directing, writing. Let me introduce you. One is Renee. I'm going to mess up your name, Renee. I'm just going to tell you this right now. Renee, you can introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Renee Chambers-Liciaga, and it's Liciaga. My husband's the Basque Mountains in Spain, so it's Basque. So yeah, we get Liciano, Italian, Greek, no Spanish. So. But that's how you say my name. I'm so super excited. I was so thrilled when Jerome reached out to me. I choreographed Jesus Christ Superstar on him about 7 or 8 years ago, and we had stayed in touch. And for such a time as this, you know, when he said, I want to get women of color together that are in the business, you know, in New Jersey, that work in the tri-state area, so that we could come together to inspire each other, encourage each other, but then to also share our area of expertise. So I've been doing this for many, many years, over 30 years. I traveled Broadway, nationally, internationally, and a lot of the Angela Lee Weber shows. I'm in my home office now with all the junk in the back of the walls. So that's most of the shows that I have done. And over the last 15 years, I've been directing and choreographing shows in our tri-state area, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York, on the college campuses. My heart is mentoring the next generation of talent. I privately coach, and so super excited because yesterday, see our little stars, I had my daughter make these for some of my teenagers. We had a cabaret showcase, and I've been coaching them virtually. But it was amazing because last week I was able to have our karate school, my husband owns a karate school, opened. And, you know, everybody came masked up. I had to do the sound, I had to do lighting, I had to do video because, you know, we could only have so many students in at a time. They had one at a time. I was spraying and cleaning and everything in between. And they were able to do their actual performances that I had been coaching them with and on via Zoom. And to have them be live in person in the studio, to hear the acoustics, to see themselves dance, to hear their tap shoes. I was like trying not to cry because I had to record and clean and do everything, but it was just so overwhelming. It was just such a beautiful thing that, you know, because we forget too, our teenagers, they're in quarantine and they're going through struggles as well too, you know, just like us adults. And for them to be able to express themselves in song and dance, I was going through the videos because I will be doing a video showcase of them tomorrow on my Broadway. I call it Broadway Sundays with Miss Renee. And so that'll be up tomorrow. And once I finish rendering like the 35 plus minutes of material, they did an amazing job. But I've been crying like tears of joy over the last couple nights watching, and not so much because they're great performers, but because they stayed disciplined, dedicated, devoted, and focused on their goal. You know, which was to, okay, they're practicing in their little tiny attics and, you know, dancing in the carpet, on the grass, wherever they could find space. And when they got there, it was just like magic. Like, you know, they had never left the theater. So, it was just such a blessing for me. So that's my heart. That's my calling. Even though I still do TV and film, I still do a lot of work, you know, behind the camera, in front of the camera. I love mentoring this next generation of talent. So that's what I do.
That's great because we need so many mentors out here, especially when it comes into the arts. We need that person to be that motivator, to be that, you know, that ear, that sounding board. You know, what concerns do I have? How do I get in this industry? Exactly. We need to see eye to eye what was going on, you know.
Oh, I'm
so
like,
that's,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
With my team.
That's exactly smiling. So let's get into it. Let's see, Miss Briana.
Hi, well, I'm Briana Sealey. Everyone just calls me Briana or Bree. I am a production designer for theater and some film. I have only been working in theater, I'm very much a newbie, for about 4 or 5 years now, since 2020. Yeah, I graduated 2015. I've done 2 off-Broadway shows in New York City, and then the rest of my shows have been here locally in New Jersey. lots of Black theater, which I really want to stay in, and we'll get into this conversation a little later. But you know, I wanted to kind of grow because I've noticed the two shows that I did, you know, off Broadway. It wasn't Black theater. They were Black shows, but it was a little bit more professional than kind of what I have been doing. But I want local, you know, Black theater to be a thing. I should
Yeah.
say, a good thing. Other than that, I make models. You can see I have a model in my background. I repurpose furniture. Right now, with my brother-in-law, we're building a kids' playhouse for my niece and nephew. So I do a lot of my own building of my sets. Very handy. I create all the drawings for my sets. So everything so far that I've been doing have just been all on me, much like Renee. Like I do a lot of my own things, mainly because it's cheaper and I already know how to do it. So why? But you know, I can, and I have, you know, done things for other people and be able to provide drawings for other people and they can follow it pretty quickly. So, you know, that's just what I've been doing so far. And I hope to get into more bigger theater, bigger film. I've done small theater, I've done small student films or small low budget films. So I'm hoping to just, you know, expand into that. And that's it. Just,
Awesome.
yeah.
That is awesome. That's great that we have that Black girl magic that's doing behind the scenes, especially set building. That's a predominantly man's world.
Absolutely.
And to have a young female say that she does the set design build is amazing.
It is.
And you will be getting phone calls after this.
So I'm here ready to work. So
Renee, you're gonna be getting phone calls, and to the next next gorgeous darling, Lady Gwen Ricks-Spencer.
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here with these amazing women. I'm Gwen Ricks-Spencer, and I've been involved with theater for a very, very long time. I think even longer than Renee, I'm a little older. I started out, I went to graduate school for theater at the University of Michigan, got my Master's of Fine Arts, and then came to the East Coast from the Midwest. And first thing I did was audition for an off-Broadway show, and I got in it. My very first show, I was like, hey, well, this isn't hard. You know, people said it was going to be harder. And I did that for 1.5 years at the Billie Holiday, and was a wonderful learning experience. And then I realized after that it is hard, that it's very hard to make it. And so I did some commercial work. I did, you know, a lot of film extra sort of work, and then stopped. I was married to have children, and then decided that I really still wanted to be involved with the theater, and that my heart it was not necessary for my heart that I do it as a performer in New York, that I just needed to be involved in some way. And so I've been involved more behind the scenes since then. I'm the executive director of Fourth Wall Theater, community theater based in North Jersey. I've been involved with, I was one of the co-founders, so I've been involved since 1995, we were formed. And right now, and I still do that. And I also, last year with Diane Parker, started an organization called the New Jersey Creative Arts Collaborative, which is a new organization designed to inform, inspire, and illuminate artists of color. So we just are finishing up our first year and have had a really busy year doing things. But a lot of the work that I do focuses on illuminating and inspiring artists of color. And I do that. I'm involved with a lot of organizations as a board member. I direct a lot, so it's behind the scenes, which is an area that has been severely lacking with Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. There are not very many folks out there doing that. I have my own ideas why, but with everything that's going on, I've had a lot of outreach from people asking, you know, how can I get more people involved, and what is the experience like, and what do I need to be doing? So I'm happy that that's where I think that I can contribute to folks going forward, is really getting more people of color involved behind the scenes in theaters.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And we want to give a shout out to Diane Parker.
Yes.
And for that, I've worked with her before. She's an amazing writer. She's an amazing director. She's hands-on behind the scenes too,
Yes,
let me tell you.
Yes, she is.
So, and it's awesome that we have, Diane?
I have a quick
Yeah.
question, Gwen.
Sure.
Okay, fourth wall. One of your associates called me to choreograph a Dreamgirls a couple of years ago.
No, we didn't do Dreamgirls. That was
No?
Montclair Operetta Club did
Are you
Dreamgirls.
sure? Okay.
Yep.
Because I'm thinking your name sounds familiar in fourth wall.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
trying to
We
figure out
shared the
how.
same theater space at Bloomfield College, the Westminster Arts Center. That might have
That's
been
it.
it. Yeah.
That's
That was
it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the connections. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
it
Yes.
is. There's so many. It's a small world. Small
Super
world.
small.
Yep.
Yes, because I didn't know you knew Diane.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, but it's like I said, I want to give an amazing shout out to her, and also
Yep.
Jerome, who's the CEO of Tribal Innovations, who is
Yes,
doing
Jerome.
the daggone thing.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
So getting us together and trying to do this, getting people of color in theater and
Right.
exposing that there's more talent out there than people think. And that
Right.
brings me to the next young lady, gorgeous looking diva on here, Miss Samantha Baptiste.
Hello, everybody. Yes, like Yolanda said, I'm Samantha Baptiste. I am an actress, I'm a writer, and I'm a filmmaker. I've been working in the industry as an actress for a little over 6 years now. I've done off-Broadway shows. I have done background work as well, where I really got to dive into being on the production set, which is the best experience. It's so amazing. I absolutely love it. It's actually a real test. If you know you like production or like the world of acting, be on production set for 12 hours and see how you feel at the end of the day. That will really tell you if it's where you're supposed to be.
Love it.
But I have segued into the business aspect of the industry. I'm currently the creative director for my production company, Breathe Entertainment. We focus on creating and producing stories of Black lives, as well as those in marginalized groups. So about a year ago, I wrote my first movie, Split Filter, and I had the opportunity to direct the teaser, and I'll be directing the film when we go back into production. So I'm really excited about that. I also have a podcast with my production company, Breathe Entertainment Podcast, where we talk about the Black Lives Matter movement, as well as artistic things like creating during quarantine and interviewing up and coming artists alike. So I'm having a lot of fun doing what I love to do. So I'm blessed.
Very much so. Very much so. We're all blessed here. And thank you, ladies, so much for introducing yourself. Well, I'm the host. My name is Yolanda Hamilton. I've been in the industry off and on for like the last, say, 6 or 7 years. And I've been on television production, film production. I've also been backstage. I've been a stage manager. I haven't been a director quite yet, but it's coming. Also, I've been in shows, I've been in musicals, started writing, and yes, I do love it. I do love to be on the set for 12 hours and 16 hours. So yes, this is right up my alley. Theater, as well as that, I'm also the person that's in the background, like Briana, that's helped build sets, that's helped design slightly. Briana, I think, would probably have a little more experience in the design part than me. But this is great to have all the different young women that's on here today that pretty much have all types of experiences that span from years. And, one of the things right now, just to kind of ask you guys, how are you guys dealing with the pandemic? Because that's one of the things that's kind of affecting theater greatly and production. And it's changed production a lot. What I'm hearing is that a lot of things that we used to do, just to talk about television just slightly, being on a set is really not going to be the same as it was before this all happened. And so now theater is definitely going to be completely different. So what do you guys think of how that is? Like, how are you dealing with it? Like, what have you been encountering so far?
I'll start. I can say it's been kind of rough. I actually had a show. We finished a show at the end of February, Camp Logan. And actually that's where I meant to run. And we had another show scheduled in April, and we were holding on. Hopefully, we're like, okay, you know, early quarantine, everyone was all, okay, no, it'll pass, it's just gone. And I had another one scheduled in September, and I'm sure that's gone now too. So now it's trying to, for me as, you know, the set builder designer, since there isn't going to be any more shows or any more live things, now it's trying to redirect now, because I kind of have to throw out the old theater way out of the window. So now it's really trying to, you know, redirect like how I can do it. And I think one of the ways that I've been kind of keeping sane is building like models of sets. That's about as all I can do. You know, I have a little idea that I want to kind of put out there that I've been trying to get in touch with some other creative people and see if it could possibly work. Instead of doing, you know, instead of doing live shows with people, you do shows with little models and voiceovers, something like that. But then it comes into copyright laws, and it becomes a little complicated, and trying to make it think that that it could work. So, you know, maybe talking with you ladies, I can grab some ideas and, you know, think of something else. So it's just trying to keep busy as well, keeping my hands, you know, busy. That's mainly what I've been trying to do.
Yeah, pretty much. Gwen, what do you think? What's been your challenges?
Yeah, it's been a huge challenge. I mean, as everybody knows, theater is very much personal. It's about the camaraderie. It's about being in the same place with people, creating the magic of building a set, creating the lights, having costumes, having the actors on stage, and that energy that you get from the audience. And so all of that had to go away. For Fourth Wall, we were already on hiatus for a year because of our space. But NJCAC, we're a brand new organization. We had we were planning the first Black Theater Festival in the state of New Jersey for June, and all of that suddenly had to stop. But we have found ways to stay busy and involved. And I think it's just, this is the one thing that artists can excel at, because it's about being creative. So we've done a couple of poetry slams for people. We've done an evening of men's monologues online, all via Zoom, all online. We're in the process of preparing for an evening of women's monologues at the end of August. So it's about finding different ways to stay in touch with people. We're also talking about having seminars and sessions just on the arts, play reading and all of that. So it's a way of staying involved, but it's different. And I think it's going to be different for a while, until this virus, there's a way to contain it, or we find a way to be safe and be around each other. Theater is just going to have to be different for a while.
Yeah, very much so. And it's one of the things I was hearing was that even in, as far as audiences, because I was wondering, you know, those big theaters is like on Broadway, that's like hundreds of people, and you're very close. I'm wondering, are they going to cut off rows? You know, are they going to start? You know what I mean?
I can talk to you about that because, you know, many of my friends, you know, are still doing the Broadway, whether they're dance captaining or musical directing and they've been in so many meetings over the past, I would say, a few months. And, you know, of course, with all the unions, you know, the musicians union and the actors union, everybody's going back and forth about what to do. So they're still trying to iron out some details. I know for me, that it drastically affected me. It affected, you know, a lot of my finances as well, too, because I was supposed to be directing and choreographing the musical of Andrew Lloyd Webber out in Pennsylvania at FaceTime Theater, which is a decent, smaller, non-union regional theater. And then from there, I was supposed to be back up at the Kelsey Theater, choreographing Evita. That's supposed to have opened last month. And then this week, I should be in St. John, the Virgin Islands, because I do a musical theater program out there with the youth out there. And I go every year for the last 4 years, and I usually call that my choreocation because I get to, you know, relax in sunny St. John and enjoy the beautiful island. So many of the kids, they sent me messages, and Miss Renee, we miss you. They're okay on the island, but we can't come to travel because they don't want the virus there, which is understandable, but that also affects their economic situation because nobody's
Yeah.
traveling, nobody's touring, nobody's doing shows. So for
Right.
me, it's been really hard. I've been in on so many, I can't even tell you how many Zoom conferences, WebEx conferences with the theaters. One theater company actually that, and I start, cross my fingers, hopefully and prayerfully, over at Theater Nonconforming. They're in Norristown. They're a newer theater, non-union regional theater. And we have started rehearsals for Tarzan already. So,
Okay.
and they have had the masks on and, you know, the musicians with the plexiglass up. I mean, they've been building out, which I think is great because, you know, we have to stay smart, right? We have to stay healthy. Pennsylvania, I think that, I don't know, they may be doing some things differently. You know, it's spread out a little bit more, not Philadelphia, but, you know, in the suburbs, you know, a lot of the theaters have been really coming up with some great innovative ideas. So I'm set to choreograph and go over there in about a week and a half from now to start dancing. So, you know, we're choreographing our whole set design. We've got silks, you know, they're swinging from vines and all kinds of, because they're gorillas. And I'm like, okay, well, great. This is going to be like, you know, non-contact gorillas and chimpanzees where they're usually rolling all over each other. You know, I had to reevaluate and re-block and re-space things because, you know, now they're gorillas in their own separate little cages instead of being in the jungle. But we are hoping, and I think I can say this, I think by next week this airs, that we are in conjunction with the Elmwood Zoo out in Pennsylvania, out in Norristown. And I hope and we think that we will be twirling and doing Tarzan live outside at the zoo in the amphitheater. And I think that's a brilliant idea,
That is.
right? Because everyone can be spaced out. They can still wear their masks if they want to, but we can all be outside. So, I mean, some theater companies that I'm working with, they have been thinking outside the box, but it's been that slow process of making sure that, you know, of course, you know, we have to maintain safety, make sure everyone's okay and healthy. But at the same time, you know, on my own, I'm like, okay, well, I'm still working out and I'm still, you know, trying to get my cast excited about, you know, we've been shut down since what, February, March, April, May, June, July. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, we need to make sure that we're staying fit, in shape, vocally ready, dance ready, you know, aerobics ready, gymnastics ready, because when we're ready to perform, we need to be performance ready. So I've been trying to make sure that I'm maintaining so that I can encourage my cast. Because it's been rough. It's been a real challenge, but I'm praying and hoping that we're going to be twirling at the zoo. So you'll know within a few, we'll all know soon.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Samantha.
I have a question for you, Renee. I just have a question because how are you doing all of that with the mask on? Because the masks are hard to breathe in. So
Yeah.
I'm curious and concerned at the same time.
I know. I've been in touch with the director and the producer of the theater company of Theater Nonconforming, and literally they are like, so, you know, he's doing maybe 1 or 2 leads at a time, you know, with their vocals. They have their masks, but then when they go to sing, their mask is down. The musical director's way over here, like 10 feet away. They're over there behind plexiglass. Do you know what I mean? Singing to make sure that they're getting their notes and their harmonies. Physically, when I come in and we start dancing, who knows what's going to happen? I don't know if we're going to be in garbage bags or what. I have no idea. But yeah, one of my students actually is at the Walnut Street Theater now. So I've performed. I've worked at the Walnut Street Theater a lot as well too. Love the theater company there. They have taken major precautions. They have a summer workshop, and one of my private students just got the lead of Harold Hill in Music Man Jr. So he's got the mask, he's got the shield, he's got everything on. I said, how are you breathing, sweetie? He's like, Miss Renee, by the end of the day, I'm just drenched. And we all just, do you know what I mean? All the students, do you know what I mean? Because they have to get their temperatures checked. They have to sign a risk waiver, you know, for COVID when they go into the building, because it's the Walnut Street Theater. Do you know what I mean? So it's a lot of the theaters are taking on that responsibility, but it's a serious responsibility. At the same time, you know, we got to grow. We got to continue to, you know, to learn. We have to continue to, you know, have our teens not be afraid or fearful, you know. So as long as I think each, you know, theater company and if you're on set for, you know, commercial shoot or whatever, if they're taking the precautions and making sure that we stay healthy and safe while we're creating, then I say, you know, let's continue to try to move ahead. But it's so different state to state. I'm in New Jersey, but I work a lot in Pennsylvania and New York. New York's on shutdown. Like nobody's doing anything in New York. It's just a lot of my friends had to leave. Some of the younger students couldn't afford to stay there anymore. They were getting ready to do shows. Nothing, no tours, nothing. The cruise ships A lot of my friends that are performing on cruise ships or the cruise directors
Yeah,
or
they've shut that
choreographing or
down.
building the sets, shut down.
Shut it down. Speaking of New York, Samantha, what's your take?
You know, I was actually talking to this with my friend the other day. First of all, it's just a sad thing that theater is shut down, at least until 2021 for right now. And it's really sad because a lot of people enjoy the live experience of being in theater and just being able to see everything right in front of your face, you know, and we're going to have to change everything drastically. And I was even hearing, I don't know how true this is, but I was even hearing that they're thinking of doing just recording shows, you know, and which will be great for a lot of the people who are working in theater, but it also takes the experience away of being there, you know. And so I don't know how they're going to continue to change things, because I know like Renee was saying, everything is shut down right now. But first things first, it's about safety right now. And once everyone can figure out where we're going and what phase we are in, and if we're gonna go back to being quarantined, then I think it'll be safe to start figuring things out of where we're gonna go. But I don't know. It's a terrible state that we're in.
It is. And the thing is that, you know, what I've noticed online, a lot of artists, like let's say big name artists or whatever, they're still trying to perform, so to speak, but I noticed they're in like warehouse settings. They're like in a plastic bubble. You know what I mean? Right. And then I've seen one performance, I forgot what artist this was, either Anderson .Paak, one of them, they were on, his band was on risers, like the drum set was on one riser, his guitarist was on another riser, his bassist was on another, they were spread apart. So it was like, you know, people are still trying to keep the momentum of music and theater going. Like I said, you know, Renee was saying, and you guys were saying, you've been on many different Zooms and you know, virtual shows, so to speak. I've been on a couple of stage readings. You know, I think Samantha, didn't you do something? No, I thought you did something recently.
The stage reading, no.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought she did something. But anyway, so, you know, and then even Samantha, okay, so she's in television production. So that's, I'm sure when she does go back to film, split filters, film more of the scenes, I'm sure there's going to be a whole different overhaul as far as like, you know, you may have an even tighter crew. There's only a central crew that's going to be on that set. You know what I mean? The actors pretty much, you know, certain scenes, you really have to put like a little gauge counter to see, okay, what's your temperature? All right.
Actually, if I could just add to that, Yolanda,
yes,
I'm filming Lady Macbeth scene tomorrow for a theater company that's putting together a bunch of scenes from Shakespearean plays, and I'm playing Lady Macbeth, and literally we're going to be in the theater, but I'm going to be by myself in the theater on the stage with the person filming, and the other two people in the scene are going to be somewhere else, and it's all going to have to be, it's going to end up looking more, it'll be a film because they're going to have to put it all together, but it's a way of allowing the actors to still be on stage performing, but that concern about people being, you know, about socially distancing and everything else is very, very real. I mean, this is my first time going out around people I'm not related to. I mean, I go to the store, but, you know, at some point I'm going to have to take off my mask, but I'm just going to be me and the two people that are filming, and they're going to be 6 feet away. So.
Right. It's going to be, it's very weird. It is this major challenge. One of the things I wanted to ask you guys, so with all of this going on before the pandemic, like what inspired you guys to embark on your journey to be in this profession, to be in this entertainment? Inspiration. What made you want to do it?
I'll start it as a interior design major first. So I just loved, it really is my aunt, because she decorates her house so beautifully. Hey, Aunt Robin.
Hi, Aunt Robin.
It's just, and every time I would go, I'm like, hey, that's new. And she's like, how do you know that? I'm like, I pay attention to everything. And, you know, I went for that. And then I actually went to the Art Institute of Philadelphia. And my godmother took me to see this play. And I don't remember the name of it. And it was a Black show. And it was just a box set. And it was just decorated so beautifully. And I'm like, you can do that for the stage? Like, I was so like mind blown. I was like, oh, I want to do that, because I've always been interested in movies. I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an actress, and who knew? I do not belong in front of the camera. I'm totally behind the camera type of gal. And once I realized that I can design essentially homes that look like homes, but on stage, I was all in. I was all in. I was like, okay, I found the major. I found where I can get a degree, and I got my degree at the Art Institute in California, in Hollywood. So I transferred over there, and it was just on from there. I was like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do.
That's amazing, because you said you started off as interior design.
Yeah. And, you know, and I'm thinking, you know, with all the movies, and I was into a lot of kids stuff, a lot of sci-fi, a lot of, you know, whimsical stuff, not thinking that, you know, I'm thinking that's the only thing that I've seen so far. Before that, I've only seen, like, you know, Christmas shows, you know, the Christmas Spectacular, everything's so grand and so over the top, as theater is. I didn't know that shows can be like a Shakespeare, where it's just one set and people are just, you know, the story is moved along through the actors, not the scenes around. I didn't realize that that's, you know, that was possible. And once I realized, oh wait, you can just do like a living room or a bedroom and make it really fabulous, or, you know, however the character or the story entails it to be, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to do that. But now, of course, I'm just like, oh, they want green walls and purple ceilings? Okay, let's do it. Like, so, and now everything whimsical, I do a little over the top when it comes to stuff. I got to reel myself in sometimes, but, you know, that was it for me. I was like, oh, I can do interior on stage? Yeah, I got it. I'm in. Yeah.
Samantha?
Well, honestly, wanting to be an actress, that's my first love, has been a lifelong dream of mine. And I went to school for something totally different. I went to school to be a teacher, and I got my bachelor's degree and I got my master's degree in education. And thank you. I taught in school for a little bit of time. And I love children. I love children, but I don't like teaching.
Girl, I know.
Because I just knew I was supposed to be on stage, you know. I felt like that was my calling, and it became something that was like I just have to do it no matter what job I was in. I just found myself going back to the theater, you know. And even now I feel like it's a do or die. Like if it don't, it's gotta happen somehow. But yeah, it was always a lifelong dream of mine, and I always ended up back in the theater. And even now when I work with people who have autism, I'm still doing production, I'm still writing, I'm still filmmaking. And when I did have my first experience of being a director on stage, thank you, Marshall Evans, who gave me my first opportunity to direct his theater for a festival. And we won.
Yes, yes, y'all did. Yes, y'all did.
I discovered my love, you know. I discovered that this is where I'm supposed to be. This is my calling. I've constantly asked God, what is my purpose in life? And I found my purpose, and it's in this art, it's in the arts, it's in this industry. So it's been lifelong, you guys, and to the day that I die, it's gonna be what I need to do.
I always tease her. I say this all the time. She'll get sick of me saying this and I don't care. But I tell people all the time when she acts, especially if she does a Greek show, yeah, we're gonna have to actually go over to Greece and see her perform on an actual ruins, the actual Colosseum stage, because that's the only way this is. That's the only way. Listen, okay, all right. Well, I'm waiting for it to happen. When it comes to fruition, I'm gonna say I told you so right on stage in front of you, okay?
Right on it.
But she is amazing. Oh my goodness. What was your inspiration? Uh-oh.
Oh, you froze for a second, Yolanda. What did you just ask?
Oh, I froze?
Yeah, for a second.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Goodness gracious. I basically, no, I was saying, Renee, what inspired you?
I always say I blame the genetics. I blame my mom and dad. So my father was a musician for Philadelphia International Records. He was Marvin Gaye's producer. I grew up with having Patti LaBelle at my house. Let's see, my mother sang for the 50s doo-wop group, the Orleans. They traveled the Chitlin Circuit down south with James Brown, the Dovells, the Shirelles. So my mom says that when I was a baby, I would just make up all this noise and I would take my hairbrush and I'm going to sing a song. I'm going to do, and she was like, oh my God, you need to like, just sit still. You need to go somewhere. So I blame my parents because, you know, father played for the OJs and the Dells and all the, you know, just about everyone and anyone that came out of the Philadelphia sound plus Motown. And all these people were at our home when I was young. And so the music literally was just in my, I believe, in my DNA, and I had to dance it out. Now, my brother, he's a musician by ear. He can play 20 to 30 instruments. A few other people, my son has that skill. Mine was movement. So I blame my parents. I think that was my first inspiration. And then when I was like 8 or 9, I was like, oh, Mom, Dad, I'm going to dance, you know, dance for Disney, Mickey Mouse, do Broadway. I had like a list. And my mom says when I was 4 or 5 years old, I was really tall and gawky. So that's why she put me in dance and ballet. And I didn't stop since. And, you know, I'm in my 50s now and I'm still dancing. So that I think that first inspiration was just being around the music, being around the musicians, being, you know, and my mom was like, oh, there she goes, you know. And I mean, I went to college and I studied, but I knew that I wanted to be on stage performing. And then when I got older, I knew that I wanted to have my children in my later 30s and then start to mentor and teach because I love children. So my husband and I end up doing all of our tours and our shows together. We met at Hershey Park Happy. We'll be married 33 years. We've lived in Japan, Switzerland, Germany. We've been all over the place with all the shows. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, it's time to have some kids.
Right.
As well.
Oh, right. I was like, oh, you mean I have to stop dancing? Because, you know, with the dancing and stuff, I was so fit. I never had time to have a cycle, which I was like, I don't need it. And I was like, oh, I think I need it now. So I was pregnant, 3.5, 4 months pregnant, not knowing when I was doing shows in Vegas, industrial shows with my daughter. And I played the lead of Anita in West Side Story during that cabaret show. And then I was pregnant with my son doing Evita at the Walnut Street Theater, 3.5, 4 months pregnant, crying every day because I had to run up the steps at the Walnut Street Theater to go to the bathroom. And I kept going, something's wrong. And then I found out, my doctor was like, oh, you're 4 months pregnant. I was like, what? So I'd been getting twirled upside down, lifted around for like months. And then so from the side, from the front, you couldn't tell, but as soon from the side, look, I had a little basketball. So yeah, and I'm in 35, 36, twirling up a storm with my son in Evita at the Walnut Street. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I blame my parents.
Oh my goodness. That sounds like it's challenging.
Yeah.
That sounds like it's challenging.
If I was younger, I told my husband I would have had a third because having those two was easy. I danced all the way through the first trimester and my doctor was like, you're healthy, just keep it moving. And I did. So
That's a blessing.
That is
wow.
awesome.
yeah, I was just, really blessed to be able to have a family as well too. Like after doing all the shows. So
That's amazing. I didn't have any biological kids, but I can't even imagine. But that's amazing. But the thing is that what I actually wanted to kind of address, like, what were the challenges that you guys faced, like during your journey, like professional journey? Like, how did you handle it?
There are a lot of challenges. I mean, I'll just speak up first on that. And I think one of them was balancing my personal life and the arts, because my husband and I, we've been married 36 years now, and we have 5 kids. And
Wow.
so I did stop periodically doing anything. I know. Like a Pez machine. Just off and about. But yeah, so it's a challenge trying to do the arts, because at least for me, and I think it sounds like the same for all these wonderful women here, when I'm in a theater, whether it's in the office or a board meeting or directing or whatever, I become it's totally encompassing, and that's all I think about. And I can stay in a theater 13, 14, 15 hours a day, and it doesn't bother me. Like, I don't feel tired. I'm great. I leave and then I get tired. But trying to balance that with a family was probably difficult. And also the finances of it. I tend to like nice things, and so I wasn't necessarily making a lot of money doing the theater professionally. So I figured out, well, I'm going to get a regular day job, and I'll figure out how to keep doing the arts. And that's what I've done all of these years. So I can buy my house, I can do all of this other stuff, and but still give my heart to the arts. And much like Samantha, when you said that, you imagine that you're going to be doing this forever, my husband laughs and jokes about it, but I plan to die in a theater, probably with a staple gun, helping build a set, or in a meeting doing something, because that's what makes me happy. That's what feeds my soul. And you have to find those things in life. You have to have it. You have to find them. And like I said, I learned a long time ago that I didn't have to be on stage to do it. I just have to be involved with the arts. And that is what makes me happy. That is what, so the challenges have been, balancing the family and the money. But you find if it's important to you, you will find a way to make it work. So people that say, well, I can't, it wasn't that important. Or it was important, but only to a certain point. Because I have found a way to make it work, and I have found it with a husband and children and everything else. If you really want it, you will find a way to make it work. It doesn't mean that it's easy. It doesn't mean that there were times that it's like, oh, there's a Girl Scout meeting tonight, and I'm like, sweetie, you get this. And he would do it because I was doing it when I met him, and he knows I'm going to be doing this, like I said, probably stapling some Duvetine to a set when it's time to go.
I agree.
And that was the key thing that you. Go ahead, Samantha.
No, I was gonna say that's actually very encouraging, Gwen, because juggling a full-time job of a 9 to 5 or whatever, but also a full-time job in the arts. That's two full-time jobs, you know, and you have your family. That's 3 full-time jobs.
Right.
I'm telling you, Black women and women. We are just heroes. Like, wow, my hat's off to you, because I don't have a family, and I'm just juggling my full-time job and juggling my business, and it's like, wow, and
but you're juggling multiple things, and that is to be admired. I mean, so many people, I have friends, people I know that I love, that they can do one thing at a time, and that's it. And you can't ask them to do anything else, because it's like, oh, I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that. I don't even think about being tired. I mean,
You can't think about
weird.
it.
Yeah, you can't. You just have to, like, is this important to me? Do I want to get this done? Then I'm going to figure out how to do it. It doesn't mean I don't rest. It doesn't mean that I don't get tired. And so that's when also like July has been my month off, but I'm still like planning for what I'm going to be doing once August starts again. So,
I agree. I actually agree with both.
Right.
Brilliant. My biggest challenge is, financially, because me starting out, I'm not getting paid at all. So I'm literally doing this for the love and experience and exposure of it. While before working, I actually I can't even work. Well, I can, but I can't even work in the industry I was working before, because I was working in trade shows. So definitely not doing any trade shows now.
Yeah.
So, luckily before, when, everything was open, I was able to work with a shop. So I, with their blessing, I was able to build, in the shop and transport everything from there. But that is the challenge, because starting off, I didn't have a budget. So I made the mistake. I don't want to say mistake. I've learned a lesson to not use my own money, or if I do use my own money, it belongs to me now. So now you have to, if you want it, you have to rent it from me. So that's kind of something that I was able to spend for myself. But yeah, that is the biggest challenge of trying to keep a job, keep my job, keep keep, finding more shows and finding more work, but it's been really hard. I mean, before I've only worked with one theater company, Dunbar Repertory Company, and just other directors, and they've just gone with whatever the theater says. So that's been the biggest challenge, and I'm trying to break out of that. I want to have my own theater, possibly one day, fingers crossed. I know it's a lot of work.
Yes, yes it is, but we can talk.
Yeah, it's something I definitely want to do, because I want to make theater my living. I want to make theater the only thing that I want to do. Like you, when I want to die with this. Like I probably will have a drill in my hand, maybe not a staple gun, but definitely a drill somewhere. But yeah, I agree that has been the biggest. And now the challenge is like what to do next,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of us are kind of sitting in that wheelhouse of what next?
Yeah.
What do we do? What's happening? So who else? Like, what other challenges have you faced? Samantha, Renee?
Yolanda, I know from the other day when we had our, really brief meeting, and because I wrote it down and it kind of stuck with me, how, you'll go through things depending upon where you are and what you're doing with, whether it's within the theater or the educational process. And I remember a challenge because I wrote it down and I was like, oh, I want to mention this because I think it's really important. We were talking about this, and I think maybe Samantha said it, I'm not sure, but how, as women and as women of color, it's, we have to have that level of excellence no matter what. And I remembered being in it was a board meeting for a theater company. This was quite a few years ago. And, we were talking and, everybody had their name tags on. And so it's, all right, it's Mr. So-and-so and this person and that person. And for the most part, with a lot of the theater companies and the bigger productions that I do, whether they bring me on as a, independent contractor, as a choreographer, or as a director or creative director, I'm usually the only woman and the only person of color, whether it's Pennsylvania, South Jersey, Cherry Hill, Morristown area, Cherry Hill area, right? Gwen, you know what I'm talking about? Or Somerset, or Princeton, or Lawrenceville, right? Or New York. Yep. And I remembered sitting there, and it's happened to me twice, and I've called these people on it, obviously, sitting there chit-chatting. Oh, well, hello, brown sugar. I got called brown sugar at a business meeting. And I looked at this gentleman's tag and I said, excuse me, Mr. So-and-so, my name is reneeliciaga. Thank you very much. And I just looked at him. I remembered, after the meeting, excusing myself and going to that person and saying, that was unacceptable. Do you know what I mean? I was like, because I'm not his brown sugar. You don't know me. I don't know you. But because I was the only person of color and I was the only woman, and I was maybe in my, I don't know, it wasn't that long ago, maybe late 40s. I'm in my 50s now. They're 50 and 60 and, the directors that have the monies and the CEOs. And I don't care who you are. This is my name. This is your name. I'm going to respect you, so respect me. So that was a huge challenge for me because it was just like, oh no. Or I'll get somewhere and people are like, oh, hi, sweetie. The only person that calls me sweetie is my husband. Do you know what I mean? Like, right. The only person that calls me out of my name is my husband of 33 years. And so, they look at you and or they think I'm younger. Oh, well, no, this is not the way we do it, sweetie. Well, okay, hi. And it's weird because I will go right into, even before I was a mom, I'll go right into this mom mode. Oh, excuse me, so-and-so, can you go over there? No, I need you to be here. And I need you to, I'll just start dictating the orders of what I need to do to run my rehearsal. Or, hi, gentlemen, we're not going to have that kind of language today. Or I'll totally take that teacher mode, that mommy teacher mode, so that I don't, show any disrespect, but I can still get my work done. I'm super protective of my cast. I had a show where I was with the director and we just clashed because, the parents had money for the theater company, which is no longer now. And he kept going, yeah, that's a babe over there. And that's a babe. These are 17, 18, 19-year-old girls, you know what I mean, that are on my stage. And I'm like, excuse me, hi, gentlemen. Yeah, can you leave? I would kick them out of the rehearsal. Right. Because I'm like, you do not want me to call. Yeah, I will call. I will report you. That's sexual harassment, number one. And number two, and I'm the only woman of color So for the most part, you know, we're over the last, I would say 10 to 15 years, and the more I'm doing bigger shows, the wider the divide is. I'm like, hey, where is everyone? And I know we're there. I know that we're there. I know that we're capable. We have the education, but maybe not the doors have not been open yet, you know, or those areas of connecting the dots to one another so that I can say, oh, well, I have somebody to bring in. But, you know, quote unquote, you know, they would say, oh, the boys club or whatever, that it's still, unfortunately, right, in our country, it's still that underlying, you know, oh, great,
Yes.
I'm a woman, black, all right, there's 2 strikes. Instead of, wow, okay, well, yeah, here's my credentials and here's my resume and this is all the work I've done. Okay, sweetie. Oh, excuse me, my name's Renee. Like, I don't know how many times I've had to, you know, and then they're, you know, and then they're like, oh, well, she's being mean. She's being aggressive. No, I need to put you in your place because you're not going to, you know, undermine me and disrespect me. So that's been a huge challenge for me in my arena. I don't know about any of you other women. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
not in the evening.
Nope. No, but it's very important that boundaries are set.
yes,
That's
Absolutely.
just point blank, period. Boundaries have to be set. As a woman, as a Black woman, it has to be set because there's a stereotype and there's a pecking order that runs through where we have to act a certain way or we respond a certain way or we should just kowtow to what. No, professionalism is professionalism. And in my question, I said professional. And everybody has answered, this is how I handle things professionally. And that's how it's supposed to be, because if it was another race, same thing.
Absolutely.
So why do we have to stray off differently? You know, especially if we're running backstage, anything behind the scenes, you're pretty much running the show.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're the choreographer, whether you're the set designer, whether you're the wardrobe person, whether you do the hair, the makeup, whatever, you can't do that. Can't happen. So that level of respect has to be there. And if you got to set them boundaries with each other because you're in it together. And that's the bottom line.
And Renee's right. You have to do it at the very beginning. When
at the very
something
beginning,
happens, you have to say, this is who I am and this is what I expect. I mean, I haven't had that particular thing happen to me in all these years, which is kind of amazing, but I tend to scare most people. I don't know why. But I'll take the fear. I'll take it. But it's just, I'm very clear and I try to be very professional with everyone because we do have to live up to a different standard, to a higher standard from the very, very beginning, because all you need is to do something once at the beginning and you get labeled. You're the angry Black woman, you're this person, you're that person. Not going to do it. We're not going to do it. If you have a problem with me, it's going to be on artistic. It's going to be artistically that there's an issue, because maybe we have a difference of opinion, but not because of how I behave, or because that's just, that won't be the issue.
Yeah. And I agree. I think, you know, we have to, I believe we all do here, but we in general as Black women have to walk with a certain level of standard, you know, because we know what we're doing and we're very professional, and there's a way that we carry ourselves, but unfortunately we are not often taken into consideration because we are Black and we are Black women. So it's like those 2 levels of disrespect that we can receive, and letting people know right then and there, listen, I'm here to do a job and I'm here to be professional. And if there is an issue, please come see me about it. And I think just setting that standard for ourselves is very, very necessary, because unfortunately people want to cross that border because we're not considered. You know, and especially in this industry, people don't respect us in general, and it's hard. It's hard to deal with white people, and it's also hard to deal with men because we're not considered.
Yeah, and then you have to make your place.
Yeah,
I belong here too.
Exactly.
I was hired to do a job. I was hired here. We can have good time. We can kiki and laugh and all that other stuff later and all that, so that, you know, it's a camaraderie, because, you know, once you, I don't know if you ladies have experienced this, you know, when you work on shows and on sets for shows and stuff, you do kind of bond with your crew and your cast and stuff like that. You know, the people you're working with, you know, this particular piece that you're putting together. You guys are together. So everybody plays a part, whether you're on the stage or not. You know, it's not there from the beginning. It's going to be a major challenge, you know?
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's that. So, yeah. But Samantha, have you had any challenges of your own in your professional journey or anything like that?
I've been very lucky. You know, I've been very blessed to come across people who are respectful, because I have that standard that I ask for respect, because I'm always going to give you respect. But I think, yeah, people do want to test you. You know, people want to test you in your patience, and it's not just in the art world. It's in the world, period.
Right.
You know, especially when you're a professional. So yeah, people have always tried to see, oh, how far can I get with Sam, because she might look like I can walk all over her, or she's so nice that I might be able to get away with this. You know, and I think even just in my career, being in a managerial position, you know, I come across that, you know, quite often. And I set my standard right away. I do my job, and I do the best that I can with my job. And that's what you will know from me, is that Samantha always comes with the goods, because I come to work. And that's that.
Yeah. And that's important. And that's the one thing. And unfortunately, that's one of the things that has been a label, if you will, when it comes to people of color, that, you know, we're not there to work. We're not professional. We're not, you know, and it's like, no, that's not true. You know, there's a certain level of people that need to learn how to do that, but there are people that know how to do that from the door, and they do it, you know, and you have to give that opportunity. So in this journey, like, who inspires you? Like, who do you guys look up to go through all of this, the challenges and things, and you still want to go on this journey, you still want to be in the arts? Who is your inspiration? Like, who inspired you guys? Who do you look up to?
Originally, for me, you know, and say what you want about the guy, but it was Tyler Perry. Honestly, with those Medea shows, I mean, those came out, I was in high school, and I was just, I mean, besides the story, I wasn't even looking at, you know, at the sets or production wise. I was just looking at the stories and how funny it was. And then once I started to get into, you know, my industry, I realized, like, whoa, like, he's really good. And then finding out that he designs them himself, or he comes up with all of the ideas and he gets someone to design them for them. I didn't realize how, you know, in depth he was with architecture. And even, you know, I watched a video of the tour of his studios. I mean, he designed a lot of those studios that he uses for his shows. I mean, the shows are you know, whatever, but the sets themselves, I mean, even, you know, from the rotating floors, and then the 2-story buildings, it's just, for me, I'm like, if I can get there to where I'm doing 2 stories and a rotating floor, if God willing, I ever own a theater, my floors will be rotating, and I'll have a bunch of trap doors everywhere, things flying in and out, you know. That he's a huge inspiration when it comes to theater. But film, I actually have one, Wynn Thomas. He did Crooklyn. It's like one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's a good movie.
I loved the house. I loved everything in it. I mean, I wanted to live in a Brooklyn brownstone, and still do, but, you know, maybe not in Brooklyn, but I just loved everything about it.
Yeah. What about you, Samantha? Who inspires you? Who do you look up to?
Filmmaking wise, Ava DuVernay is someone who I talk about the most, because I aspire to be like Ava DuVernay on that level. I read an article, she worked on her first 5 feature films, I believe, while working a full-time job. And I said, wow, if she could do it, I could do it too. You know, if she could do it, I desire to do that too. She picked up her first camera, she said, at the age of 32. So did I. You know, it's just so many things that she does, filmmaking wise, and what she stands for in regards to telling Black stories is something that I desire to do as well. Acting wise, Viola Davis is, my goodness, Viola is my friend in my mind. And Meryl Streep,
She
like
is the woman.
just their resumes, period.
Yes.
I look up
Yeah.
to them. I really do.
Yeah, that rap sheet's so long.
Seriously.
Yeah. What about you, Gwen?
So many people in all different facets of the arts. Of course, like in acting, there's Denzel and James Earl Jones and Ruby Dee. I admired as performers. Viola, of course. I mean, how can you not? And La Streep, with everything that she's done. I tend to nowadays, because of directing and working behind the scenes, I have other folks that I look up to as well. George C. Wolfe, I think, is amazing. He is a true Renaissance man.
Yes.
Done so many amazing things. Lots of writers that I look up to, from the old ones, James Baldwin and August Wilson will never go out of style, but there's the new writers, Katori Hall and Terrell Alvin McCraney and Dominique Morisseau. They wrote Pipeline. There's so many people, and I feel inspired because they make me feel young still. I mean, I think that the arts are about giving you energy and keeping you alive and excited. That's part of the reason why I still love it so much, and I don't think you ever get to a point that you can say, well, I know everything that I need to know. I mean, I've been doing this for a really long time. I don't know everything I need to know. I learn stuff all of the time from new people that come out and do things. My daughter is a filmmaker. I admire her. She decided to make a film, had never made one in her life. And I said, oh, that's a great idea. And she's like, I'm going to film it next month. I'm like, you don't have any money. She's like, oh, Robert Townsend did this on credit cards. I can do this. I have friends. I know people. And she literally got a crew together and did a movie. And, last year she had one in the Museum of Modern Art in the Filmmaking is for Females. She was part of that particular thing. So I admire so many people, and I think that it's just incumbent upon us as artists to make sure that we're keeping our eye out and looking to see who's out there and who's doing new things, so that we know who they are, that we can talk intelligently about their work and what it is that they're bringing to the arts. Because unfortunately, it's still the case, hopefully it's changing, but it is still the case that we must tout our own. We must make sure that people know who the artists of color are out there, and really that we really applaud their work and we make sure that people know about it.
Yeah, Renee?
George C. Wolfe is one of my favorites as well too, Gwen. Camille A. Brown, she's a new choreographer. She's been around for a few years, but she's one of the younger up and comings, a lot of the different Broadway and off Broadway. She's amazing. Also Liz Imperio, she's one of my mentors. She was Jennifer Lopez's choreographer, and I had the honor and blessing 5.5 years ago to fly out to LA to do a TV show where it was my family and I, working with Jamie King, who would choreograph for Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson and Paula Abdul, and I was in this for 3.5-4 weeks. It was my first time away from my family, which was really hard, and it was literally a reality show, but it literally was happening in real time, where I had to go here and choreograph this number and then go there. And I was like, wait a minute, I can't touch the set. I can't do this because I'm so used to doing theater work. And they said, well, you're in LA now, Renee. So I had the opportunity to work with some of the best in the business, and they still mentor me as well too on that end. And also, I definitely want to say my family, my husband, my teenagers, they continue to inspire me because we all continue to learn and grow. And also to my family heritage, my family legacy. Let's see if I can get it right. My great grandfather was William Still, who helped Harriet Tubman on the Underground Railroad. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, that's why I live in this area, Mount Laurel. My family's been here 4 generations on my mother's side. coming up from Maryland, from slavery and doing certain things. His brother was the Black Doctor of the Pines in Medford, New Jersey. Yeah. So this was like 200 years ago, to have a Black man with no education own their own land and be a doctor. So that inspires me, is the legacy from my mother's side of that family, that generation of when it was, when you couldn't, have an education, when you were whipped and beaten and taken back down south and sold back into slavery. That inspires me every day. You know what I mean? To continue to honor that legacy. And education and the arts. That's why I love education and the arts so much. And that, so from my mother's side of that family, knowing that knowledge and being like, man, I can do it. I can do whatever I want to, and it shouldn't matter, black, white, green, purple. 1882, 2020. It shouldn't matter. So for me, that's that inspires me. Is my family's legacy, and we as a people to continue to press forward and move ahead no matter what the situation.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we work so hard into being in the positions that we're in. Is that why we get offended when somebody calls us sweetie or brown sugar? That is why we feel the way we feel when we're in the positions that we're in, and we've wanted to be accepted and be in society just like everyone else. We are all human beings, and we do not want to be treated less than that. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we have the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yes.
That is why we have the, if you want to call it being over the top, when we don't want to hear someone call us a certain name or we want to act a certain way. No, that is why. That is why. You understand? We've strived, we've come through a lot. Our ancestors, to get us here, have come through a lot. And it's not to be taken lightly. So that is why we have all of this. This is why we fight and we have the protests. This is why. Yeah. Just in case whoever's watching this, just in case you wanted to know. That's a little history lesson.
We need to know, right? If we don't know where we've come from, and we don't know who we are and what our calling is and our purpose is, how do we know, how can we know what our future is? How do we know where we're going? If we don't know that foundation that we stand on, how do we know that? And that's the legacy I want to leave for my own children, and then those that I mentor and coach. And they're Asian and Hispanic, and I've got kids, multicolor, and my family's that way. With Black, Hispanic, Asian, we don't care. I cut, I bleed red. You cut, you bleed red. Okay, so now what? Can we be? And that's why I love the arts. That's why we as creators, we as creative beings, we respect all of that. And we bring that hope, and we bring that compassion and that inspiration, because I don't care what color you are. Let's make some art. You know what I mean? Let's entertain. Let's make people feel and think and move and thrive. That's why I believe we do what we do.
Yeah. And it's an outlet too, because it allows us to express the feelings that we feel, the experiences that we have, to let the world know that this is what's going on. Whether it be something about being a kid, you write a story about being a child, to you writing a story about being, I'm sorry to say this, but a survivor of domestic violence, a survivor of cancer, you've witnessed these stories and things and subjects we bring about in the arts. I think artists are the true tortured ones.
Say that again.
Artists are the true tortured individuals. And that's from the crew members to the people like Gwen, who are head of theater companies that want to bring about these stories, to Samantha, who wants to film these stories, to Briana, who wants to build sets to show the background of these stories, to Renee, who wants to teach those young kids, this is what it's like to be a dancer. This is what it's like to be a director. This is what it's like to be a teacher. This is what it's like to enjoy what you're doing. This is why.
Black joy.
Again, just in case y'all wanted to know. So with that, I mean, listen, that's just truth. So, and let me ask you guys something. So what advice would you give someone that wants to embark on a journey in being in the arts and in the industry? What would you tell your younger self? What would you tell your, let's say, I'll say 11 or 12-year-old self?
I can go first.
You know what? Okay.
No, Samantha. No, Briana, you go. You go.
I don't know yet. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I can go first.
Go ahead, Gwen.
So there's probably like 4 things that I would say. The first thing is make sure that you find people that support your dreams. That's so important. You have to find people that support what it is that you want to do, because there's enough negativity out there. You just don't need that. And if you're going to be involved with the arts, be serious about it. That stuff that we were saying, you know, sometimes when you come in and if you're a person of color, people like think, oh, maybe you're not going to work as hard or whatever. Sometimes people of color take advantage of that, and we need not to do that. If you're going to be involved, you need to be serious. So if I'm directing a play, I don't care if I have a white cast or a multiracial cast or an all-black cast, being on time means being on time. It means being prepared with whatever. Be serious about it if you're going to do it. The next thing is to try out for everything. And I say this from personal experience. This is a little story that people know, and I'll try and be really quick. Years ago, when I was doing my first show where I got my equity card, our opening night, we had this huge reception at the Billie Holiday, and I met James Earl Jones and Morgan Freeman. All these people were there, and I was like 24, the youngest person in the cast. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting all these people. And there's a producer that came up to me and said, well, we're doing this TV show. We want you to come and audition. And I was like, oh, okay, well, you can see it's going to be on TV. Here it'll be on this night, but we're going to be adding a character. We want you to audition for it. And I looked at it and I was like, I don't know. I'm an actor. I really want to be on stage. It ended up that person was Carmen Finestra. It ended up that show he was talking about was The Cosby Show. It ended up that character they were talking about was the daughter, Sandra, that they added. Yes. But I didn't audition because I was like, oh no, I want to be on stage. So try out for everything. And I didn't, and there was a reason, and that's how it was supposed to be in life. But if you want to do this, try out. You've got to be out there doing things. And the last thing is, you are never too old to do something. If you really want to do it, you have to get up and go out there and just do it. It's like that Nike little swoosh thing. Just do it. You can do it whatever age you are. And maybe you can't. I mean, I couldn't do any high kicks, Miss Renee. You look like you still could. I couldn't do any, but there's a whole lot that I can do that I still contribute to the theater that I think is important. So that's it. My 4 things.
No,
I would do.
No, you say as much as you like. The more information, the better. Somebody has to know. Like, there's a lot of people that are coming up in this industry that are that have questions and concerns, especially now. So you know, the more you can share. Briana, you said you didn't have, but I think you do. What would you tell yourself?
Me? Okay.
Yeah.
I would say, like, stay creative, because I remember being 11, 12, like, you know, I dip and dabble in the artsy stuff. You know, me and my sister, we were always kind of creative. I would say stay creative and follow through, because I know that there's a lot of things as a kid that, you know, just going through old stuff and, you know, my mom's house, I see a lot of things that were there, a lot of things that were unfinished, a lot of like, oh, I remember doing that. My advice to myself, follow through, stay creative. It's going to help in the end. And I actually want to give that advice to my college self too. Follow through, stay creative, keep going. It doesn't matter if you're bored, keep going. You can stop for a few hours, go back to it. Like, the end result will feel much greater than just the idea. Because I noticed, like, even with this guy, I still have a few little things I have to do, a few little background things, but I know once I light it and I get like some characters in it, I know it's going to be amazing. So just follow through, keep going.
Okay, great. Renee?
I tell my students this: keep learning, keep dreaming, keep setting your goals, okay? And then continue to have your team of people to hold you accountable. Yes. Accountability is key. You can say a whole bunch and have all these lists, but then if you don't have people that are in your corner that are going to stay positive and encouraging, that can hold you accountable to, oh, I'm going to whatever, pick something. Well, I don't know, finish doing my push-ups. I mean, it could be that simple, working out or eating healthier or drinking more water, whatever it is. you know, so that we can maintain and stay healthy so that we can stay focused. Because I tell my students, if I'm not doing it and I'm not willing to do it, that's not a good thing. So if mama can still do it, I tell them and they laugh. I'm like, if I can still get down there and do it, you need to do it. So, you know, lead by example. And I would say the last thing as well too, is to continue to give ourselves grace and to those around us grace as well too, as we grow. Yeah, because we're always going to want to, you know, have that team around us. And of course, you know, we have our mentors and people that we look up to, whether it's in life, in the arts, whatever it may be. But, you know, we're pulling from all those things, but then we continue to say, okay, this is what I'm going to build my foundation on. And that's what I tell my students, keep learning, keep growing. You know, you can never say, oh, you know, I did all this and I'm done. I tell them that, no, I've done a lot, but I need to continue to keep learning and growing. You know, so I continue to push myself. That's going to make me a better educator, a better teacher, a better performer, a better director, a better choreographer. If I continue, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, 20 years ago I did this and 15 years ago. No, you know, and especially our youth, the teens, they're a trip. Let me tell you, they're like, Miss Renee, can you do that again? Can you do that split again? I'm like, look, I can only do it one time. You know, because I'm like, I'm old. I can do it once. You know, and I'll do it. I will kill it. I will get in those 3-inch heels and do the thing. You know, because as being a dancer and learning from such an early age, you have that discipline. There's a discipline and devotion and dedication to your skill, to your craft. I will do it. And then I'm like, and now you guys do it. You're 25, be fierce. Or you're 19, go for it. You know, mama's not doing it again. And then I'm like, woo, you know, the thing, never let them see you sweat. Yeah, I love them seeing you sweat because I don't mind. I'll laugh and be like, woo, did I do that? Ooh. Anyway, I was like, erase that, you know? And that, you know, so, you know, and important, what you just did, Yolanda, laugh. We need to laugh. I can laugh at myself, with everyone else. Having that laughter and being able to laugh about things, especially in these challenging times. Laughter is what? Good medicine. You know what I mean?
Yes,
it's going to heal us, continue to build us up. So sometimes you just got to be like, woo, I'm laughing at myself today. You know, and I've done that last couple months. I've laughed, I've cried, I've done everything in between, you know? So just being real. Being a real person and connecting to one another, and especially our students and especially my teenagers. If I'm telling them, oh, you need to eat your vegetables and do this, and I don't, what? They're like, Mom, you're not doing that, right? And Gwen, you know, you have grandchildren. They will call you out in a hot minute.
Yeah, they will.
They will.
You know, not that we're perfect. We're not perfect. We all make mistakes and we fall short. But am I going to continue to get up and press forward and keep it moving? Exactly. Yes.
Exactly.
You know?
Yes. Definitely. Samantha?
So I do want to piggyback off of what Gwen said, audition for everything. My first ever audition was for an equity play, Beneath the Younger from A Raisin in the Sun. Now, anybody might look at me and say, how's she have the nerve going in there to try to audition for that role? Because I walked into that audition room and the only thing I had in common with any of those girls was natural hair. But every of those girls were light-skinned, skinny women. And I was coming in darker skin, plus size, trying to audition for Beneath the Younger. And I don't remember if I auditioned because I honestly, like, I could have just walked out of the room after seeing those girls, but I didn't. I stayed because the thing with equity is that you can go, but you might not get a chance to audition. And especially for a non-union. But my advice is to don't ever let anyone tell you who you are and who you're not. Don't ever let anyone tell you what you could do and what you can't do. You should do and what you shouldn't do. Learn yourself and know who you are as a woman and as a Black woman. And the advice that I'm telling myself right now, because it's a day-to-day struggle, be patient, hang in there, and don't give up, because this is my dream. And when things get hard and the future is uncertain, no one knows where they're going. I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. You know, I don't know if we're going to go into another wave of quarantine. I don't know how long coronavirus is going to be out here holding up our dreams, holding up our money, holding up our vision. But don't give up. You know, continue fighting that fight. Continue living out your dream. Continue sitting in your living room writing the next best script. continue, do it all, do everything that you can do, and don't let anybody define you. That's my advice, and that's actually that's what I tell myself every day.
That's
You
right.
know?
Because like I said,
Hey.
you're going to have to go to Greece to see her. What? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I wasn't supposed to say that part. I'm sorry.
One thing I know is that as an actor, you know, you walk into a casting room and, you know, they're gonna tell you you're too fat, you're too skinny, you're too dark, you're too this, you're too that. No, you're not too anything. You're perfect for somebody. And if somebody don't want to give you a role, write your own damn role.
That's right.
You said that right. You said that right.
Said that
You
right.
definitely said that right.
As Tyler Perry
Write your
did.
own damn role.
Tyler Perry wrote all those Medeas, and even though, you know, some of those Medeas are a little, Tyler Perry got his own studio right now,
That's
making
right.
millions of dollars. He gave himself his own chance, and that is the most respectable thing that anybody can do is make your own damn lane.
Yep.
Exactly. Exactly. And that is on a beautiful ending note. Ladies, you guys are phenomenal, inspirational, comical, hardworking, and I'm just so glad that some of you, I don't know 3 of you, and I'm so glad I've met you today. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much, ladies. Renee, Gwen, Samantha, Briana, thank you. This has just been great. This has been just absolutely phenomenal. And I hope you guys out there that see this, you are walking away with something that can help you get through. Even if you don't stay in the entertainment industry like we are, you can be in any industry and take the gems that they've given you today and move forward with that. Mm-hmm. That's all it is to it. That's right. That's just all it is to it. So thank you guys so much for joining us at Women's Touch. We thank you so much here at Tribal Innovations for joining us, and we will see you again.
Great. Thanks.